what's up all you lovely learners out there in learning land? Tyler from TenthumbsPro.com, and today we are on day number 6 of our chord melody challenge. If you're watching in 2020, you're still eligible to win the brand new ukulele from Kala. Check the description for details on how to enter. If not, don't worry, this 10-day crash course in chord melody is still massively beneficial to you. Today we're talking about how to make the hard easy, or how I identify these really hard pieces in the song and how I practice them and how I make them manageable. So something really hard may never be easy, but we want to make it manageable. We want to make it fluid. We want to make it something that you can do and something that you're proud of. Printable tab for this lesson pinned in the first comment. That's free for everybody. If you like those tabs, think about becoming a Patreon. Subscribe, learn, grab the ukulele. This is actually a Venezuelan cuatro. We did the ukulele, the medulla oblongata, and your attention span. I know the medulla oblongata isn't exactly the brain, but it's in the brain. You got that fun stuff? Follow me on in and let's break this lesson down together. Come on. So let's look at our first measure. We're going to do it measure by measure. The first measure sounds like this. Like I said, I'm not too worried about getting it 100% right. Second fret of the A string, second fret of the C string, fifth fret of the A string, second fret of the C string, fifth fret of the A string, third fret of the E string, or if you've been paying attention, open G. So what's significant about that? Well, there's a couple things that are significant about that. One of them is I can leave these two fingers down while I'm playing most of this. Especially if I use that open G. If not, I have to, well, even then I can use my ring finger. I can leave these two fingers down the whole time. All right. Another thing that we're looking for is kind of to get to know the timing. If I were to count it, I get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I want to get to know that as well. The next measure, 4th fret, 5th fret, 2nd fret, open 3, open. So I get 4, which is an E note. I could play open E if I wanted to, but I have that note ringing out already. So this is a good example of the power of really knowing your fretboard. If you know your fretboard, a lot of stuff gets a lot easier, especially with chord melody. 4th fret, 5th fret, 2nd fret, O 3 O. Next measure, rest on the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So I nothing on the first beat. First fret of the C string, 2nd fret open. If I leave my index finger down, I'm using my ring finger up here on the A string. Then I play open A, 3rd fret with my ring finger, 2nd fret with my middle finger. Then the last measure, 1 and 2. So we have a 16th note in there. This is the first time 16th notes have made an appearance in the entire challenge. Why don't we go ahead and harmonize this and bring it up, because that is how we're going to spend most of the time. The reason I held up a quarter in the intro, and I think I did that, maybe that hit the cutting room floor, but I held up a quarter, a 25-cent piece, because the best way for you to make hard stuff easier is to look at it 1 quarter beat at a time. So if it's a quarter note, you're only looking at 1 note. If it's an eighth, you're looking at 2. And if it's a 16, you're looking at 4. So if we look specifically at the first measure, the first thing that I want to look at is strumming through a G string and then playing the 2nd fret of the D, or the 2nd fret of the C string. 1, strum through all the strings, G chord, getting that. No, I think I might have misspoken at the beginning, but you want a G chord, thumb strum, then 2nd fret C string. And that's 1 and I want to take it really slow, and I want to be able to count that. 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and. And that might feel a little repetitive to do that at the beginning, but I really want to set the tone for the speed I'm going to practice at, and I really want to hammer home every single detail of this, including the easier details, because really mastering the easier details are going to give me support for the harder details. 1 and 2 and. And I'm not going any faster than that. My goal here isn't speed. My goal here is evenness. The most important thing is that I'm playing this evenly. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now, rests on the quarter can be very tricky. When you are learning to do this, intentionally resting is something you have to treat it like a note. It can make these measures much more harder, but if you just, instead of rest, treat it like a note that you're just not playing. I know that sounds exactly the same, but if you change that mental switch in your brain, it really, really does help. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. You could even go slower than that. It's okay. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, oops, I made a mistake. So you're going to see that I'm really not worried about my speed at all. The only thing I want is that it's in time. If I can learn to play it in time really, really slow, but get very comfortable with it in time, even if it's slow, but very comfortable, it's much easier for me to speed it up. So I have the first measure. I'm going to play it in a circle 4, 5, 6 times. If you're practicing out there and you're struggling, play it 20 times in a row. But just take it slow, and again, the goal is even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. I made a little mistake because I was thinking about what time it was. I got to get my haircut here at 4:30, and I want to get these done before I go. That's another thing. Mental focus is really important. Okay, so we get to the next measure, and we see that it's a tie, meaning that this is coming over from the previous measure. So I don't play anything on the first beat, and I play 4th fret of the C string on the and. 1 and. 1 and. 1 and. The next one is 5-0, 2. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. Rest on the third, open A. 3 and 3 and 3 and 3 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Fourth measure, make an A chord, but you want to get that pinky or the ring finger on the 3rd fret of the E, making your A chord an A7, and strum the first 3, thumb strum, and then open A. 4 and 4 and 4 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. the first two measures together is what our next goal is, and we're going to take it at that pace, at that really slow pace. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Next measure. And I'm doing all of this at this pace because it really, really is what is going to help me internalize it. And I'm not in a rush. I want to be able to play it 10, 20, 30 times even slow before I even think about speeding it up. Okay? Rest 1. So we make an A, and you'll see that after that, it's an A with your ring finger on the second fret of the A string, making it an A add 9. Very cool chord. B is the ninth interval relative to the A, or the second interval. And because it's not a dominant chord, it's not an A9, it's an A add 9. A add 9, A9. Rest and 1 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All the measures, keep it at that speed. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now this is my learning pace for hard measures. You may even go slower and repeat it even more. That is okay. The idea, what I want to really illustrate, is that a quarter of a measure is the ideal time to break it down into 1/4 of a measure. That's a great size. And the evenness, what's even more important than speed is evenness. You may play it like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's totally okay. That is totally 100% okay. In fact, it's encouraged. If that's the speed that you need to go at, that's the speed that you need to go at. It's encouraged. Okay, the last one, we actually have our first 16ths of this whole thing, and we get a rest and 2 and 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that D chord that I'm going to land on the second beat, and I'm going to remove my pinky. And I'm going to do just the first measure. 16ths are counted 1 E and 2 E and 1 E and and the and is our eighth notes, right? 1 and 2. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Okay, from the top, nice and slow. All right, there's no shame in doing this slow. Again, this is the best way to learn this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. All right. Now, because I'm able to do that and I'm so confident with it, I really play through at that speed. The goal would be to do it in a circle several times. And then you just slowly speed up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. All right, that's probably pretty close to game speed already, but I feel so much more confident because I broke it down quarter by quarter. A quarter of a measure is really the chunk that you want to focus on, the chunk that you want to build on. And that is how you make anything that's hard easy, all right? And I know some of you are probably thinking, that's really what I already do. Do it with more intention. Do it with more focus. Remember that it's a quarter of a measure. Do it quarter by quarter. Once you get a measure, play that measure on a loop, repeat with the second measure, join them up, and just walk through it like I did. And you're really going to impress yourself with what you're capable of doing. All right? Until next time. Rock and roll.